Hey, what's up, guys? It is Rapmark here. So, doing my review for episode 3 of Ms. Marvel. So, this was supposed to come out yesterday when I released the end of the Obi-Wan series, but unfortunately, had eye issues, so I could only do one that night. I will be releasing another video today, so you can look forward to that. So I just wanted to let you know what was going on, why this is so late, because I intended to have episode 4 recorded and uploaded tonight rather than this one, but again, it is what it is. So let us get on with it. Episode 3. So, what did I think of this one? I actually really enjoyed this one. For sure. They toned down a lot of things I didn't like about it, like the D the DDC whatever, DODC. I'm just gonna call it the DDC because it's a lot easier. Department of Damage Control, whatever. Um, they're only involved here one time. It's one of the worst scenes in the episode, unfortunately. Like I can't stand the DDC. They are just it feels like they're a bunch of clowns, and it just ruins it. It ruins. It does take me out. Like I will say, they toned it down to the point to where I wasn't like completely out of it, but that this the scene that I'm talking about, where they did toward the end, where they came in, it did kind of ruin it for me. And also when they come in to the mosque earlier in the episode, it just I don't know, they just seem so over the top and like not good people, and I don't know. I the DDC just does not work for me. All right, and then the whole love triangle thing. I like that they toned it back on this. They did have an element where it did play a role in a wedding scene where, Bruno is about to have a dance with Kamala, and then he comes in, and then they're just like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, so it was still there, it was still present, but I'm glad they toned it back a bit. It didn't do like them getting in their faces and everything. Like every he kind of was aware of the situation, how this was coming off. Cameron, um, and then Bruno was, calm enough to listen to what was going. So I did appreciate that because it wasn't needless drama, and that's one of the biggest things of this. So one of the things I do want to mention is, yeah, I've heard a lot of bad bad stuff going on with this on the internet. Low ratings, low viewership, and it's just like, come on. That some of them say some pretty bad stuff, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think this is, woke central. I don't think this is a liberal thing. Like this is actually a well-written story. I am enjoying for the most part. Uh, is it my favorite? No, not by any means. Uh, in a lot of respects, this thing is like what I would have watched as a teenager, and then I kind of outgrew. And from what I'm reading in the demographics of this show, yeah, it's very popular amongst, young adults and teenagers. So, I mean, more power to that. Like, I don't think this is a show that is catered towards someone like myself, but I can still, enjoy the fact that it is a well-written story and it has some very well-written characters and it's well performed for sure. And I love again the sort of look into the cultural aspects, which I've only briefly been introduced to as a result of my service in the military. But I mean, a whole more in depth look at that culture, what they go through. I mean, yeah, there's this whole scene where Kamala talks with her mom about, you know, she doesn't say it out loud, but that she's always wanted, superpowers. Now that she has them, it's not so great. And her mom says that, yeah, that for me that was coming to America, and that is a lot of immigrants, for sure. I mean, they still think it's great. I mean, some immigrants, especially when you talk about Middle Eastern cultures, the oppression, assassination if they're like liberal thinkers, um, or just any number of things like Afghanis, and just there are some horrible things going on in some horrible countries. This place, as you know, it's great because they don't have to fear for their lives here. But at the same time, they still have to kind of worry about their safety because there is like racism, especially if you're coming from like that area of the world. There's a lot of it. Muslims are probably the most um, overtly discriminatized race in this country at this point. I mean, I could point out blacks, but they definitely have a long history of it. I'm not attempting to downplay that at all. It just seems more institutionalized, whereas again with Muslims, it seems much more overt. Like we can do this out in the open and it's okay, if that makes sense. Anyway, I don't want to dive too much into that, otherwise we'll get massively off topic. But yeah, I do love that kind of stuff. Um, I absolutely, yeah, the whole oh, what the whole Khan family, I absolutely love. Like, the mom's grown on me. What is her name? It is Muniba. I she has grown on me. She does care. She may be a little bit more conservative, but at the same time, like I feel it's more like when you're young and you grow up, uh, you kind of become more of a you don't want to go to the huge parties. You don't want to go to the big raves, and that's not for everyone, of course. But generally speaking, most people tend to mature in a lot more quieter. Like they've made their mistakes, they've learned from their mistakes, and they're a bit more set in their ways as they get older. Obviously not old people who are just completely out there, and that just brings memory of my grandparents. So yeah, um, but yeah, I feel like she that's just how she developed as she grew up, because it sounds like she had quite a fun youth with her husband. What is his name? Yusuf. And he grew up like he grew up. He has kids. He cares. He has his mistakes, learned from his mistakes, but at the same time, he still has this buoyant, fun, very very outgoing and happy personality. And he he's just the sort of character that just grows on you instantly. Like I probably would say I liked him from the first episode, and I just like him more with every preceding episode, especially when he talks to his son about like he doesn't have that much money, and he talks to him, about how it's about love and family, or and then to go back again, her thing was America. Like, it was hard. She felt so alone, and how did she? get through it, through her religion, through her family. Those were the two big things. And, it's actually a very warm and caring scene, which I really enjoyed because that's, again, so relatable to any immigrants. Like, I'm I'm not an immigrant per se. I was adopted, so I was brought up as an American. I came when I was like three months old. I did spend some time with a family that came up with me who was from Colombia, did speak Spanish, so I do have sort of things. But anyway, yeah, like so I never really dealt with stuff like, say, a full blown like adult coming to this country dealt with in terms of immigration and being an immigrant, you know. So, but I do know people who have been through that and are immigrants, or their parents were their first generation. Um, and yeah, it's rough. It is incredibly rough, more rough than people in this country seem to think it is, unfortunately. So yeah, that was awesome. So and then of course there was this Bollywood dance scene which I really enjoyed. I don't watch a lot of Bollywood stuff, but I have seen enough of it to sort of get the dance scenes. Like there, from what I hear and what I've seen, there's a lot of just out there not great stuff about Bollywood. But then there are scenes, like dance scenes, music scenes, and other scenes. Like there are some good Bollywood films. Don't get me wrong, there are some amazing Bollywood films. Um, but the dance scenes, like you gotta love the Bollywood dance scenes because the dancers are just so amazing, and I love it. So I really enjoyed that. So now, what would I say about this episode? I really enjoyed it. There were a few things that I wasn't a fan of. Again, like anytime the DDC came in, I was just like, come on, you guys are fucking clowns. Uh, and what else? I still don't know what to think of her powers. Like again, I know they changed it, so it's kind of like not just stretchy, but now it's kind of like cosmic stretchy. And but she can also play with light, use it as platforms. You don't really see the platforming using independent light here. You more or less see the big fist. Um, and I'm not sure how I feel about it because it feels like she still has the same power set. They're just trying to add a bit of pizzazz and sparkle to it. And again, she by no means is she my favorite hero. Do I like her? Yeah, I think the actress is doing an amazing job, and she's a very likable character. Um, do I love her? Uh, do I want to see more? I don't think she is like a list quality hero. I think she is a support character. At least at this point, and maybe by the end of the last episode, that might turn around. I mean, I've had things turn around, like in Moon Knight, the God, I forget her name, but Mark's wife completely made a turnaround by the end of the series, and now I absolutely love her, and I'd love to see her more stuff. But anyway, I digress. Um, and also the whole uh, Jin. So I did love the whole backstory of them. There was a little turn in them that I was a little bit like I didn't know how to feel about it. I do have a guess on where they're going with it, which I'm pretty confident in my guess, but I could be wrong, so I'll cover that in a moment. But honestly, this episode I'd say deserves an 8. I really enjoyed it. As much as I can say that it probably isn't catered to me per se, let alone this character. This is a written, well written story with multi-dimensional characters. Like none of these characters feels one dimensional at all. There's conflict, that makes sense and is not in most cases is not over the top, which I do enjoy. Um, And the things I don't like, the DDC, I don't like the love triangle thing that they're still hitting upon, but they have reduced it in this one. So yeah, this one gets a strong 8. So let me get into the episode. So we go in, and it starts with a flashback back to like the partition, or 1943. So World War II before the partition, I guess, and that's where you meet Aisha, and there were 5. There's now 4. So the vision ends, and with that the Bengal might return, but there's only one of them. They only found one of them, and so she takes it and says that she'll meet them later, and then it goes to again Kamala, who is with the clandestines. I mean, and they seem very nice. They're telling her about all this stuff, about her powers, her ancestry, where they're from, and like again, by the end of the episode, they're just like they go from that to, I'm gonna kill your whole family because, and it just seems really like the motivation didn't seem to be there. Like, why do they want to? I mean, obviously it's their home, but I mean, what's the urgency? It just feels like I want to go home. I want to go home now because she's not saying no. She just says she wants time, and they're saying we have no time. Like if it was something like maybe if their powers were dissipating or they'll die or something if they don't get out of there. I mean, that would give some justification. So that was something I wasn't too much of a fan of. But anyway, going on to it, they look into it. Bruno has a bunch of things on the clandestines, the gin. Kamal's not too excited that she's that because she's essentially the boogeyman. Who wants to be the boogeyman? Not her. And I mean, I get it. I mean, why would you be upset about having superpowers? Well, you are essentially a representative of some of the worst creatures in Hindu and pre-Islamic, like Iranian mythology. The jinns were terrible, terrible creatures. So anyway, but he finds in this oh, but that then there was a scene where he's working on a shift. Bruno is, and Yusuf comes in, Kamal's dad, and he's just like, he gets this cherry pie. There's just this terrible, terrible thing. He's just like, I love the syntheticness of it. And then he helps translate this research that Bruno has. And again, I just every episode that goes by, I just love the Khan family so much. Like again, her mother has grown on me. Her father I always liked, and now I just like him more, even more. Um, you know, sh- uh, Kamala herself, I enjoy. And So going back to the again them turning it like Najma, uh, I could I'm probably gonna butcher some names here. I apologize. Najma, I believe is how it said. Uh, she wants to force Camilla to help them because she gets the text message that says just like this could be dangerous. It could destroy the world, and she's just like, I don't care. I want to go home. Again, she's not saying no. She just wants time, and I'm just like, what is this horrible urgency? And yeah, I don't know. So then we go into the wedding scene. So there's a pre-wedding scene where Kamala talks to the imam of her mosque, um, and just like I want to be good, and he essentially tells her that good is something you do. It's not something you are. You're not like we're all capable of good and evil. So you decide, you choose what to do. What your choices are what make you good or evil. And that was another really nice, part of the episode. Like I love the interactions between characters. They seem really real, really authentic, and it's nice. It's nice to see it, with all in a world where there's all this magic and powers and heroes, just having interactions that are just literally like how normal people would interact. I find it really nice. So anyway, so then the wedding comes. There's where her brother Amir is marrying his fiance Taisha, I believe is how it's pronounced. Could be wrong. I apologize. Um, so again, this is the part where I'm. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot one of the most important parts. So the DDC goes into the mosque to uh, to ask about Kamal, this new superhero. Nightlight is how she's called, but whatever. Um, and Nakia, the votes have everyone has voted. The votes have not been fully counted, but as someone she takes a strong stand for the mosque. The imam is being very, very, soft spoken, but at the same time firm that it's just like you can't do this without some sort of a war. And then as they leave, just like next time, take off your shoes. And this is something that I do know for a fact. Religious Muslim churches go through mosques, I should say. Um, because there are some fundamental factions. To say that, yeah, there are fundamental factions, but a vast majority of them are not, fundamentalists. Some may be conservative, but at the end of the day, my experience with Muslim culture is they are some of the most warm and welcoming people you will ever meet. They will. It will take a lot to get like one mad at you, and when they do get mad, it's more they're mad at the situation. And like honestly, I don't think there is a more polite, society that is so welcoming. And they really are. It in stark contrast with what a lot of people think about them. I mean, there's different sets of beliefs. I mean, Islam is a huge, huge religion that covers many huge, diverse areas and people. So, I mean, it makes sense. Like, if you want to appeal to the greatest amount of people, you want to you don't want to be dicks, which is why most fundamentalist sects are pretty small, honestly. But anyway, and that's just my experience of it. So yeah, again, anything to enlighten or whatever, you can feel free to put in the comments. So I'm just going to say that right now. Anyway, so back to the wedding. Actually, no, because I have to continue again. So she again talks to Kamala. She ended up getting the seat, which congratulations to her. But through everything that she said, like Kamala, I guess decides not to tell her about her being a superhero. She does find out later. I'll get into that in a sec. So back to the wedding now. Cameron, he comes in because he knows that his mother is coming to force her to do it. And again, it's just like she didn't say no. She just wants to ensure that they can do it safely, but it's like so impatient. And again, I'm going to get into this at the end on where I think this is going. But anyway, so she gets everyone out, fire alarm, and then the fight begins. And this is where you see like her her fist, the epic fist, and the on the cover of, well, not the cover, but the on the promotional material of this series, that big fist. At first when she's doing everything, all she can do is block. She's not trained. She doesn't know what she's doing. What little things she can is basically by instinct protection. And the rest of these Jin, they're fighting her. She's doing a good job blocking them off. There's a scene in the kitchen where she tries to get everyone to leave, and everyone's just like, And then one of the guys just punches them in the face, and they're just like, nope, nope, and everyone leaves. It it was kind of funny. It was a hokey scene, but it was funny. Um, and then they try to get her. Bruno helps out. He does get hurt in the ensuing struggle, and that's where she brings out her fist, where she starts attacking and just wailing on him. Eventually, they are able to surround her and Bruno, and then the something happens with the bangle to where it triggers a vision of a train again, and at that moment, the DDC comes in, and it's just like this is so cartoon. Like they're able to use weapons that subdue the clandestines, but they somehow don't notice Bruno and Kamala, which I'm just like, are you guys just the most incompetent force on the planet? But before that happens, like there's a point where what is her name? Not Nakia. Nakia, I believe. Yes. Um, she sees Kamala use her powers, and she's a little bit mad about that she never told her, and that's. I hope they don't play into it too deep, but the way it came off in this episode, I felt that it was good. It creates drama, and natural drama. I necessarily wouldn't be mad. I'd probably take more Peter Parker's friend God, I am terrible with names. I apologize. When he found out, he's just like, "Holy shit, that's so cool." But yeah, um, but they capture the clandestines, including Cameron, and oh no, I was mistaken. Nakia does. It is after that happens that Nakia sees Kamala using that. So I apologize. Now Sana, that's Aisha's daughter. She contacts her and says that she needs to go to uh, Karachi, the in Pakistan, and that's how it ends. So I do have a guess, and I'm feeling that it's sort of internals like sort of plot thing that none of these other clandestines really felt attached. I mean, obviously Najma, I apologize if that's butchered. She did have a kid, um, but for the most part, they didn't really have deep ties. I think Aisha kind of did, and I think they might have done something with her, the other four, but she was able to get the dangle to her daughter, Sana, and yeah, so I almost feel like this is sort of like an Eternals type sort of thing where, you know, something bad did happen to Aisha, but it had to do with them doing something to get uh, the bangle, but she managed to give it to her daughter before they got to her. So that is my guess. I could be wrong. We'll see how that goes on the other episodes. But anyway, I'll be doing episode 4 tomorrow. I meant to do it today, but again, my eyes are what they are, so I do what I can. I have been trying to be much more active this week. So anyway, thank you for joining. That is it for me. So again, 8 out of 10 for this episode. It was pretty great. So I will catch you guys next time. See ya.